Hi there, guys, and thank you for taking time out with Too Impossible. Today I want to talk about the Ray Rice story. I'm a domestic violence survivor, not a victim, a survivor. I used to be one, but now I consider myself a survivor. And this story really has had an effect on me, and I want to talk about it and why that is. Because when you've been there, done that, you could see things in hindsight that other people in the midst of something can't see. It's very easy to say, oh my God, this poor, poor woman. But you can't force somebody to get out of an abusive relationship. They need to care enough about themselves, and if they have children, enough about their children to remove themselves from the situation. And sadly, this does not seem to be the case in Janay Rice's case. And she was named Mrs. Rice after the incident that happened in an Atlantic City elevator where she was punched, knocked unconscious, and dragged from the elevator by her arm. Now, I had a very similar situation. It wasn't an elevator, but at a bar. My ex thought I looked at somebody, punched me, I fell down. He dragged me out of the bar by my hair. And, you know, if somebody would have stopped him or taken action against him, the manager said, I'm gonna call the police, and he talked him out of it. He just said, get the heck out of here. So I tried to get in my car and drive away, because at this point I was a little older and I was honestly trying to separate. My friend was there, and she was just trying to get me out of there, and he jumped on the hood of the car. It was a big thing. Right in front of the bar, you know, everyone's watching. Nobody calls the police. And I'm not an NFL wife. I don't have millions of dollars. I didn't, especially back then. I was young, and I didn't have any children yet. So, like, I understand how you can be brainwashed enough to stay with somebody, regardless of if they have a ton of money or no money at all. It doesn't really matter. It's about control. And this man obviously has a great deal of control over her. Is she probably enjoying the cushy life of being the wife of him? Maybe. But like with my ex, when I finally started to think, when I had children and I started thinking about my kids, I said, you know what? It's not worth it. Every dime, penny he stole from me over the years, because I got hit by a truck, I had a settlement from that. I had money from my grandfather who passed away. I had money that he was ripping off little by little. He was a pathological liar and abuser. His father had abused the mother, who was terminally ill. So there is a pattern of abuse. So I would not doubt in my mind that this guy also comes from that type of upbringing, or it's somewhere along the line in there. It doesn't just pop out of nowhere. And this is not a one-time incident. Okay, so he had problems, and he owed me a lot of money, and eventually it was like, money, forget it. If I lost however amount it is, it's not worth losing your life. The psychological abuse, I'm telling you, you know, him hitting me was honestly better, pain-wise, for my heart and my brain than the psychological abuse and the verbal abuse that I endured all those years. And I was not going to let my children go through this, because honestly I thought that I was doing the right thing by staying with him, because when I got pregnant with my first son, he seemed to take on the role of loving father and parent, and maybe he was, maybe he wasn't, but the realization that eventually my child could be a victim, I had to really start thinking about myself. There was a couple scary episodes that just made me think to myself, really honestly, I cannot do this anymore. Did I love him? I thought I loved him. Janay thinks she loves Ray. She doesn't know true love yet, because she doesn't love herself. And maybe I don't love myself. I don't, oh, I'm so wonderful. Because I don't want to be cocky, and I would never be that way. And I have flaws, and I hate a lot of my flaws. But do I care a lot more about myself and have a lot more confidence within myself of the human being I am? It's not about the outside. It's about the human being I am. I sure do. So that strength is what shows me in hindsight that I was never in love with that man. He was controlling me. He was manipulating me. He had me sucked up in a vacuum of fear, control, and what I thought was love. And Janay might be a little older than I was at the time. I fell victim starting at 15, a very vulnerable age. But I had a dysfunctional family. I was craving attention. I wasn't getting it at home. So what I wasn't getting at home, I found in this man. And my parents did not take any kind of action to stop it. Had they, things could have been a lot different. But I will tell you, I've learned a lot from my experiences. And when I saw this video, I cringed. And I said, you know what? That is not the only time that happened. That will not be the only time that that happened. And I heard she has a child with this man. Any man that can be that brutal and can hurt you, not all men that abuse their wives, abuse their children, it is possible. So that's what gave me the strength to get out, or I'd be dead right now. So God does do things in a weird way. I lost my family for a very long time. I still don't have the same kind of, like, they don't look at me the same way. And I lost a lot of friends. I lost my home. I ended up in a homeless shelter. I gave up everything to have my first son. And you know what? I don't regret that. But if I didn't have my child, and then I had a second son, because I thought, well, it's a long story, but my first son ended up sick. I didn't know what was going to happen to him. They were telling me things. So I purposely wanted to get pregnant because I couldn't imagine motherhood taken away from me. Even though I didn't want to be pregnant at that time that I first got pregnant, I fell in love with my baby-to-be. And then I definitely couldn't imagine motherhood. I was so in love, I couldn't imagine motherhood ripped away from me. So I honestly did get pregnant. I wouldn't be a slut. So I was with the same person. And I thought that was right. But, you know, I can understand that back in my 20-year-old mind, my 19, 20, and, you know, I was a kid. It doesn't matter the age, though. The control could take over at any time. It's a matter of breaking the cycle. And this is just not tolerable. And like I said, she has a child with him. I'm not saying all abusers abuse the children, but it's always, like, as they grow up, if they're abusing you in front of the child, or you're yelling, fighting, everything I grew up with was just fighting amongst my parents, it affects you anyway. So she really should, if she doesn't care enough about herself, care enough about the baby to get the heck on out of there. And do it for him or her. I think it's a him, I'm not sure. But do it for the child, even if you don't care enough about yourself. Get help. I went to a domestic violence place for counseling. I've been in a battered women's shelter. I've been through a lot. And this woman really needs a lot of support, a lot of help, a lot of therapy, because, you know, she's apologizing for the incident that her boyfriend, fiance, whatever, now husband, caused. Now, did they get married so she couldn't testify against him in court? I don't know. I think he probably schmoozed her in his mind, thinking that she could go against him, and that's why he wanted her to marry him. But in her mind, it was probably very innocent, and like, oh, he loves me, and this will never happen again. Believe me, been there, heard that. I believe that's what's going on there. And she married him, and I believe she thinks she loves him, but she doesn't know true love yet. And so these people come in all forms, ladies and gents. They come as regular people like you and I. They come as millionaires and singers and celebrities like Chris Brown and with Rihanna, and like this guy, Ray Rice, with his wife, Janay. It's just a sick pattern that will continue and continue until she's either dead or he gets her. And you reprimanded enough. And you know what? These people get a slap on the wrist because they got so much money. They might get fired from their job. They still got all the money in the background. They're still famous. And you know what? This guy shouldn't have been so stupid to do this in public. But you know what that shows me? That what goes on behind closed doors. Because you know that they're not that dumb. In a casino in Atlantic City, and I've been Vegas, Atlantic City, they always have cameras. So he's that violent. He just flies off the handle. He does that in private, and it's not going to end for her. So until it's the end, or she gets out and gets help, because those are the only two options: death or life. And she has to care enough about herself. And what the abuser does is they belittle, belittle, belittle until you feel like such a crumb that that's the best you can do. And of course it's appealing to marry a NFL player, but Look at the circumstances. Look at the video, folks. I've been there. I've been there. I've been through it and then some. And I've been through it for years. And I know that this woman, this is not her first time. And even if it was her first time, which I doubt, it is going to continue and continue and continue. Whether there are drugs involved on his part or not, this is how he is. Whether she met him like this or not, this is how he is. They all sweet talk you. They're all wonderful in the beginning. But you know what? It starts with the verbal, the psychological, eventually turns physical. Once it does, it doesn't disappear. This is a defect on his part. And he should know better than this. He should have known he was being taped. And aside from that, I'm glad it came out because I pray to God this woman has enough sense to finally get help and get away from him. She married him. I'm sure he turned on the charm something fierce to get her to for the court process. And I will tell you one thing. I pray, and I really, really do, that she comes to her senses. It's not even like you can't blame her. She is a victim, but she can be a survivor like me. She needs to get out and get help. But as long as she's under his spell and control, that's not going to happen. And other people, you know, trying to defend this guy and stuff like that, that's madness. It's not a one-time thing, folks. Normal people don't go up and just hit their love of their lives, knock them out unconscious, and drag them like a dead body. What's next? A knife. Trust me, I've been there. I've been at the knife. I've had a knife held to me. I know where it ends up. And I would be dead in the ground, possibly. Could it affect my children? Of course. Possibly thinking I was doing the right thing. Oh, I need to make it a family for my child that we just had. I thought I was doing the right thing. And you know what? Eventually I learned that they're only good for so long and then they turn back. And you have to protect your children. If you don't care enough about yourself, protect the children. But you got to start caring about yourself. Even if you don't have children, you're a victim out there. Please. Contact me. Contact me at twinpossible.com. I am there for all of you. And I'm there for this woman, Janay Rice. If you will contact me, I will talk to you. But I know that your head is not in in the right place. I know that you're thinking, this is the father of my child. This is, this is Ray Rice. This is just, a one-time thing or a two-time thing or a three-time thing. And then he asked me to marry me. Oh, my God, he really loves me. He doesn't love anybody but himself. He's a narcissistic pee-hole, and he really will never change. And I hate to say that, but he'll never change without wanting to change himself and getting a lot of help, a lot of therapy, and he does deserve to go to jail. This is assault and battery. This is real life, people. And you know what? It happens to commoners, wealthy people. It happens all over the globe. And I hope that this woman finds some sense of self and some confidence to say, I deserve better, and get the heck on out of there and take her child out of these circumstances. It is better to be apart from your abuser and have him not in the child's life or in the child's life later, when he's through therapy, and because bad influence on the child, history can repeat itself. So that's the last thing you want to do if you love your child. And I know she loves her child, but she is not in her right frame of mind. She is being manipulated. And I pray for the best for her and every other domestic violence victim out there. And I pray that you're a survivor like me, because I know how scary it is. I know how fearful you can get and how much you think you love somebody. It's not worth your life, and it's not worth your children's lives. It's not worth anything. Your whole future, the years wasted, the time that you could be happy, and the things that it does to you on the inside, mentally, to sexually, feeling put down sexually, and everything else. You deserve so much better. And I just pray for the best for Janay, and I pray for the best for her child, and I pray for the legal system to come through on this man, because he deserves gavel to come down on him hard and set an example for once and say, you cannot just get away with this. It's not cool. It's not all right just because you're rich and you're famous. And that being said, I appreciate you taking time out with me, Shelly at Twin Possible, where anything is possible if you put your mind, your body, and your soul into it. Take care.